Good day students, today I'm going to show you how to do Microsoft Access. First of all, we're going to create a table structure in Microsoft Access. So basically we're going to first have to design a table, and this is the table that we're going to design. I'm also going to show you how to print this table structure. Alright, so first of all, you have to read your background story. You need to prepare a summary of the salaries for 2016 by making use of a database. Now that implies that you need to go and open Microsoft Access. Alright, so please go and open up Microsoft Access at this stage. Please pay attention, I am working in Microsoft 2016, and I know that you guys don't necessarily or are not necessarily working in Microsoft 2016, but please pay attention still. Even though it looks different, the concepts and the words are basically the same. So what you need to now focus on is a blank database. It's in the corner, it's in the left hand corner of your screen at this stage, and then after you've made sure that this is selected, on the right hand side of your screen in Microsoft 10 and 2013, you will have the ability to then type in the name of the database. Alright, so here it's going to ask me give my database a name, and let's just quickly go back to our question paper. 7.1, create a database using the file name summary, and please pay attention, summary is typed in capital letters, so type it in there, summary. Alright, once you've typed in your name of the database, then you can click on create. Alright, then you are going to be in Microsoft Access, which is a database. And the first thing that I want you to focus on is go to your left hand side of the screen so that you can focus on the view. If you click on view, you will notice that you get a Datasheet View and a design view. Now these are important because you must first design your table before you can fill in the information. At the moment it's a blank database, remember, that we chose, so there isn't anything, so we have to start with design first. Now let's go back to our question paper. This section over here is the design of your table, and this one is the finished table or the finished design. So basically you are designing this in 7.1.1. In other words, you're going to type in the fields that this eventually becomes a table. Alright, so what you're going to do here, you first have to design the names of the fields. In other words, the headings of your table is what needs to happen here. You're designing that. But that's not all, because you have to also determine or design what type of information is going to go into your table eventually. Now, as you can see here, employee number, they will have numbers. Names will have names. Date of birth will have dates, and salaries will have money or currencies. Now, how do you design it to fit that information? First of all, as soon as you've designed the name of the field, you need to go and determine what type of information will go into that field. It's going to be, this is called numbers, these are called text, these are called date and time, and these are called currency. And then you must also determine the size of that column or field. So as you can see here, only 4 numbers will fit into this table eventually. Over here, we will only go as big as 9 characters, so no name will be more than 9 letters long. The format for the date and time, it must be the year first, then the month, then the day. And then over here, it will not exceed, the currency will not exceed 99,999 Rand. Please take note, there's no decimals, there's no cents here, as you can see here. This was designed to be that way. Alright, and when we get to the examination number, which is quintessentially your ID number, even though they're talking about numbers, they do specify the word characters, and at this stage I want to put your attention on that. Whenever you see the word characters, that implies that you have to use text. Alright, when you see the word figures, that implies that you have to use numbers. But I'll explain that in a little bit more detail soon. Alright, so let's go back to our database. So as I said, we're first going to have to design our table. We don't have anything yet. So we have to go to Design View. It's going to ask you to give your table a name. You give it a name. Anything that's going to identify the table for yourself. So you can type in there, the safest bet is to type in the question number. So this is question 7, and maybe you want to add Design View to that. Design View, or you can add table structure. Alright, to that. Once you are in Design View, you need to get rid of this little key that you see there. That key, the function of that key is to prevent duplicate data or to make use of duplicate data. But we don't need that. So please just click on the big, you notice there's a big key and there's a small key. If you click on the big one, the small one goes away. If you click on the big one again, it appears, but please click on the big one so that it can go away. You don't need it at this moment, and if you keep it there, you're going to run into some problems later on in your database. For our purpose, we don't need the primary key at this stage. Alright, so once you've taken away the primary key, then you can start to fill in your field names and determine the data types, and then also specify your field sizes. So let's look at what is our fields going to be. We have employee number, name, date of birth, salary, and then your examination number. And we need to also pay attention to the types and the sizes. Alright, so employee number. So your first one there, field, is employee number. And let's look at the type. Maximum of 4 figures, that implies numbers, and there must only be four of them. Alright, so we need to change the data type here to number, and here by field size we need to change that. Let's see, the options that we have is a byte, an integer, a long integer, a single, a double, or replication ID, or a decimal. We know that an integer is a number without a decimal, and if we go back to our question paper, there are only 4 numbers, no decimals, so it's definitely an integer, but there's more than one of them. So what are we going to choose? Please choose long integer. Long integer implies more than one number. Alright, without decimal. In a case where there was 2, you could have chosen double or single, but please long integer. Alright, the next one, name. Name is maximum of 9 characters, and as you can see here, they are words, so that implies that they should be text. So we're going to choose text. Now, my 2016 has 2 functions, or 2 options here. We have short text and long text. In 2010 and 2013 packages, you only have text. So then you can decide, are you going to choose short text or long text? I think short text would, since it's only one name per line, I think it's safe to use short text. But if you only have the word text in front of you, then just choose text. However, the field size has to be what? Let's go back. The field size must only be 9 characters long. So that implies that the field size, please type in 9. Alright, next one is date of birth. Date of birth. And we know that the type of data that we need to choose is date and time, and the format of that, if you go back, I specified year, month and day. So the format, you need to choose that sequence, which is a short date, the year, the month and the day. Alright, moving on. Salary. Alright, so that is currency. Alright, so the decimal places, remember, we know that there isn't any decimal places, so we need to just choose, instead of automatic, we have to choose 0 decimal places. In a case where there were decimal places, where there were cents, then you would have chosen 2 decimal places. Okay, moving on. And then the last one, key in your examination number is a field, maximum of 15 characters. What that implies, you have to physically type in your ID number here, and of course I'm not using my real ID number for obvious reasons. But what you must do is your data type is text. It's a bit of a longer text, so I'm going to choose long text in this case, so that I can type in my format, and they specified 15. So no more than 15 numbers for your exam number. Alright. Students, guess what? That is that. So 5 marks, just like that, so easy. But before you can get that 5 marks, you must first be able to print this. Now, how are you going to do this? Seems pretty easy. You just click File and go to Print. But when you get there, you won't be able to print because the table structure is not that easy to print. What you must do is there's a special sequence that you have to use, and please write them down as I mentioned them. It would be good to memorize them at this point. Okay, to print the table structure, you have to click on Database Tools, Database Documenter, okay, you're going to get this little box. Then you need to select, click on Select, or you can just tick inside of this little checkbox. So basically you need to select your table structure. Then click on Options. And at this point, students, let me just go back to my question paper. We need to read this quickly. Save the document and make a printout of the structure. Use portrait orientation. Do not print any properties. Alright, what that implies is, I want to put your attention on these 3 sections. You have include table section, you have include for field section, and you have include for indexes section. Alright, I want you to remember the following sequence. Nothing, center, nothing. Alright, nothing, center, nothing. What that means is that in the first section, nothing must be selected. In the second section, only the names, the data types, and the sizes must be selected, because that's what you did. You didn't do anything more than the names, the data types, and the sizes. And then in the third section, the word nothing must be selected. So, in other words, you don't want any properties, relationships, or permissions. You don't want any indexes. You only want the names, the data types, and the sizes. Another way to remember this is to use 021, which is Cape Town's telephone code. 0 to 1. In other words, nothing must be selected, 0. Only the second option must be selected, and then the first option. 0 to 1, or nothing, center, nothing. So there's 2 ways to remember. And once you've done that, you click on OK, OK, yes, yes. Alright students, so that is what you will be able to print eventually. If I make this a little bigger, this is what your document should look like. There shouldn't be anything below this. No properties, no indexes, no nothing. Just your name, your types, and your sizes. And look there, 4, 9, 8, and 8. And long text. Alright, that should have actually said 15, but I'm sure yours will. So there we have question 7, table structure. That's also the name of the table, eventually becomes a header. You cannot put a header into the table structure like you would have done in Microsoft Word or Excel. So the name that you give your table eventually becomes the header. That's why it's important to give it a real practical name. Okay, so you will get a mark for that. You will get marks for typing in your names fields. You will get marks for choosing the correct data type, and you will get marks for choosing the correct size. So it's important for you to get those 5 marks, and of course you will get a mark for being able to print it in this way. And that's all that you have to do. Then you just click on print. Alright, so join me in the next video where I will be doing the data sheet question. Thank you for watching.